Something I found to be shockingly common is that uncertainty around how much we should give to charity can often prevent people from giving anything at all. Yet if you search the internet for advice, you'll mostly find claims that there's no right answer and that it's a deeply personal decision. While these answers are largely true, they're not very helpful. They don't actually provide any actionable advice, any directions whatsoever for what we should do. Instead of dodging the question or trying to divine a single prescriptive answer from the fabric of the universe, we're going to look at a range of standards that you could apply to your life and recommend some approaches that might work for you.
The extremes of giving.
There are some people who believe that the right amount to give is nothing, ever. They might believe that charity doesn't help people, that it's not their responsibility, or they're not excited about the incredible opportunity that most of us have to use our money to help others. If that's you, I'm not going to try and dissuade you here, but I do recommend that you check out the Myths About Charity page. Others believe that they should give nothing yet. This might be suitable for you, either if your material circumstances are very dire, or you're a patient philanthropist who's putting away money now in order to give it to charity later, and have taken measures to make sure that you'll actually follow through. The other far extreme of giving is to give everything humanly possible, right up until the point at which your circumstances are equal to those whose welfare you are concerned about. One of the most powerful moral arguments for charitable giving comes from the renowned philosopher Peter Singer in his Drowning Child thought experiment. According to Singer, given that there are millions of people around the world who are in dire need, engaging in frivolous consumption instead of donating to charity is quite like walking past a drowning child and not saving them for fear of damaging a fine suit. The trouble with this thought experiment is that, taken to its extreme logical conclusion, it becomes very morally demanding. Not only are we morally required to give something to help others, but we should probably give all we possibly can. One man did just this. After converting to Christianity, evolutionary scientist George Price was convinced that he had a moral obligation to give away all his possessions to the poor. Price would seek out the homeless and give them anything they asked for, from his money to the clothes off his back. If they needed a place to sleep, he'd put them up at his place indefinitely. Eventually, he'd given away so much that he became homeless, and as poor as those that he was helping. And sadly, this led to his eventual suicide. His altruism in many ways may be admirable, but it's clearly not a healthy path to follow, and is ultimately going to be self-defeating, leading to less good, not more.
Finding a good standard for giving.
So when we look down the barrel of these two extremes and see that neither of them is right for us, this begs the question, what is the right amount for us to give to charity? Let's look at some standards.
Give what you don't need.
If you feel a strong moral obligation to help others, you might decide to give what you don't need. This idea has been formalised by Oxford philosopher Toby Ord, who was inspired by ethicists such as Peter Singer. In 2009, Toby felt that he had a true moral obligation to give what he didn't need. He knew that a significant portion of his income could be so much more valuable to others than it would be to him. To put this into practice, he set himself a living allowance and then gave everything he earned above that level. He calls this the Further Pledge. Toby later founded the Giving What We Can community, and after more than a decade, he's still giving everything above his inflation-adjusted living allowance. Many others have since taken this Further Pledge, and even more people have modelled their giving on this living allowance idea, deciding what they need to live on sustainably, and then giving away the rest.
Give generously.
You may be more motivated to have a steady increase in your standard of living as your income rises, but still want to give a meaningful amount that is more generous than most people. If you are above average income in your country, it's likely that you can give more generously than the average person gives. And if you were born in a high-income country, it's likely that your income is at least 10 times that of the average person in the world, and roughly 100 times that of someone living in extreme poverty. Philosopher William MacAskill calls this the 100 times multiplier. Imagine a happy hour where you could either buy yourself a beer for $5 or buy someone else a beer for just 5 cents. If that were the case, we'd probably be pretty generous. Next round's on me. This realization has led many people to choose to be generous with their relative wealth, whether they see it as an obligation to share their luck or an incredible opportunity to make a difference. Religious traditions across the world also ask their followers not just to give, but to give generously. In Judaism and Christianity, this is made more explicit as a 10% of income tithe. The Giving What We Can pledge also uses the 10% number as a benchmark for giving generously. As a giving standard, 10% has a few perks. It's low enough that it's accessible for those who have means, and it's high enough that it really feels meaningful to most people. It's much more generous than what most people are otherwise giving, and it's not so high as to be off-putting or overly demanding. And finally, 10% is really easy to calculate. Many people would jump at the chance to take a job if it were more meaningful, even if it paid 10% less. So if you're seeking to make a meaningful contribution and you aren't under financial duress, this is probably the right number for you.
Give an average amount.
If you care about helping others, but don't want to give more than average, you could aim to give what an average person gives. Now, this can vary significantly by income level and country, but for many people, this sits in roughly the 2 to 6% of their income range.
Give what you won't miss.
At the very least, you could give what you wouldn't miss. This is the idea behind the Try Giving Pledge and the One for the World Pledge, both of which encourage people to give at least 1% of their income. Similarly, the Life You Can Save Pledge recommends a variable amount that's calibrated to have a barely noticeable effect on your standard of living. Very few people would notice a difference if they were to live off only 99% of their income instead of 100. Almost everyone would take a job that paid 1% less if it brought them more meaning.
Some other standards.
We've covered some income-based standards. However, there are a few other approaches you might take. There are wealth-based approaches, such as the Giving Pledge, where billionaires pledge to give away at least half of their wealth, and Zakat, where Muslims donate 2.5% of their wealth each year. There are event-based approaches, such as increasing your giving when you get a raise, donating your bonus, stimulus check, or a tax rebate, giving when you receive an inheritance, or giving from a liquidity event, such as the sale of a business. There's the fair share approach, where you give the amount that would lead to the best outcome if everyone in the world gave the same amount. The problem with this approach is that most people will not give their fair share, and it's incredibly difficult to calculate what your fair share would in fact be. There's also the idea of earning to give, where you seek out a high-paying job so that you can give much more than ordinary. For example, working on Wall Street while giving away 50% of your income. Finally, there's the idea of giving a bequest, where you give from your estate when you pass away.
Recommendations for giving.
Now that we've covered off some common standards, here's what I'd recommend.
Give what you can.
Unless you're financially insecure, I recommend that you start giving something. Getting into the habit of giving will change who you are as a person. You will become someone who gives money to charity, and you'll start to experience the joy and satisfaction you get when you know that you're helping others. Beyond giving something, I recommend that you pick a standard that makes it meaningful to you. Be bold, be ambitious, be generous. You may want to start small and work your way up each year to your ideal target. Sit with that for a while, and then challenge yourself. My favourite example of this is one couple that reported that they give 1% more of their income each year to celebrate their wedding anniversary. If you're wealthy, give much more. Perhaps follow the examples of many notable philanthropists like Andrew Carnegie or Bill Gates, and start drawing down that wealth before you die, so that there's less inequality in the world, and that your children will not be spoiled with excess wealth.
Give effectively.
It's not just how much you give, but it's how effectively that you give that matters. This is because the differences between charities can be truly astonishing. A $1 donation to a highly effective charity is going to be worth tens, hundreds, or thousands of times more than the same donation to an average charity, and worth infinitely more than a donation to a charity that accidentally does harm. Giving 10 times more effectively is much easier than giving 10 times more. Combining these two approaches is ideal. If you give 10 times more and 10 times more effectively, then you've increased your impact 100-fold. Impact multiplication is a really powerful force. For more on this topic, I recommend you check out Giving What We Can's effective giving recommendations.
Give publicly.
Another way to multiply your impact is to influence others through social proof. This is the well-established psychological phenomenon that people tend to do what they see others doing, because as humans, we are incredibly social animals. If everyone kept their giving private, most people would think that giving isn't normal. On the other hand, giving publicly can influence others to follow your behaviour. You can lead by example. By being public, but not boastful, about your giving decisions. For example, by making a giving pledge. you can help create a social norm where people give more and they give more effectively.
Give sustainably.
Take the view of giving over your lifetime. Ask yourself, what will be sustainable? Because you don't want to end up like George Price, and you don't want to give too much too soon if it causes you to burn out and stop giving. Take the time to plan your giving. Think carefully about how much you want to give and how you're going to do it.
Give regularly.
I recommend that you also give regularly. This is because regular donors are much more generous and therefore more likely to have a bigger impact. They're estimated to give around 42% more per year and up to 440% more over a lifetime. Giving habitually means you are more likely to continue, less likely to skip donations, and you can budget your giving much better. Regular giving also helps the recipient charity operate more efficiently with predictable revenue and spend less on fundraising. If you are a patient philanthropist and want to invest to give later, use a mechanism like a donor-advised fund or a trust to get the immediate tax benefit while preventing value drift, making sure that you'll live up to your goals.
Give together.
Finally, share the joy of giving with other people. This will not only help establish norms around giving, but it can help you to make better decisions, and you'll have people to share this meaningful part of your life with. Involving your family with your giving is a great way of building a family culture of care, generosity, and critical thinking. Involving your friends and colleagues can be a great activity to bond over. You could try running a fundraiser, giving circle, or giving game. If you want to discuss your donation decisions with others, you're most welcome to join the Giving What We Can community, or attend one of our public events. At the end of the day, charity is optional. No one is forcing you to give away your money, and it's truly your choice. And that's what makes it so incredibly empowering. We get to choose to make the world a better place. We each have an incredible opportunity to use our money to help others. And not only does this make the world better, it enriches our own lives too. So how much will you choose to give?